The MLB All-Stars are officially here. Here's who made it for the Boston Red Sox. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and just a couple of minutes ago, at the time of this recording, MLB officially announced their full rosters for the 2024 MLB All-Star Game, and the Red Sox had 3 separate players officially make the team, and there were a couple of players I would say might have gotten a little bit snubbed. So what we are going to do in the second video today is we are going to break down who made the All-Star Game, what they've done so far this season, and we're going to talk about some players that I think probably should have made the All-Star Game, but didn't. However, I just want to let you know in this video, things are going to look a little bit different. There's going to be no highlights of any player in this video, mostly because MLB refuses to allow me to use their content. So we're going to be looking a little bit different for a little bit now. I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm still trying to figure it out. Hope you guys can bear with me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the good news first before we really get into the snubs of this year's All-Star Games. And the first person I want to talk about who made their 3rd All-Star Game for the Boston Red Sox is none other than our $300 million man, Rafael Devers. And this is unbelievably well-deserved. In all honesty, I think Red Sox fans are starting to appreciate how good Rafi has been this year, but I think it's time Major League Baseball starts talking about how good Rafael Devers has been this year, because so far this season, he's having the best offensive season of his career so far. Right now, his slash line is a 287 average with a 373 on base percentage and a 570 slug. The 570 slug as well as the 373 on base percentage are both career highs for Rafael Devers. He's rocking a 943 OPS, also a career high, and he has a 158 OPS plus, which is 58% better than the average hitter in the entire sport. Not only that, but he leads all of Major League Baseball when it comes to intentional walks. Teams are just flat out terrified to pitch to Rafael Devers with runners in scoring position. He's had 19 home runs this season, 53 RBIs, and 16 doubles. But it's not just taking a look at his stat line, it's taking a look at how his offensive performance has compared to the rest of the AL this season. Because when you look at that, Rafael Devers is 9th in on-base percentage in the entire AL, just behind Carlos Correa and right above Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's a starter in this year's All-Star Game. His slugging percentage is 3rd in Major League Baseball. It's better than names like Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker. His OPS is currently 5th in Major League Baseball, again, ahead of guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Kyle Tucker. Rafael Devers has been absolutely incredible at the plate this year. He also has the 7th most home runs in the AL, and his OPS plus that we talked about, that's good for 5th in the entire AL as well. Rafael Devers absolutely deserves this All-Star nod. He really probably should have been the starter, but that's a conversation for a different day. At least he's going to be joining this team in Arlington. I gotta say too, the metrics don't entirely back this up, but Rafael Devers looked a lot better recently at third base. He has really sort of put it together as a third baseman. It's been a while since we've had a play where it's been like, oh man, Rafi, you really need to make that, dude. Even the ones that we probably should say that on are ones that are really difficult baseballs to get to. So Rafi has not only improved himself at the plate, he's improved himself on the field as well, and he's become one of the more dangerous players in the entire sport. We've talked about it a while on this channel. I think his season's underrated when it comes to the entire sport of baseball, and them really not talking about it a whole lot. But either way, he's now joining the AL All-Stars in Arlington for the 3rd time in his career. Rafi's really racking up a whole lot of recognition lately. Congratulations to Rafi. This was absolutely unequivocally deserved, but he's not the only one that got selected to the All-Star Game. And the other 2 people were people that we needed in the All-Star Game representing the Boston Red Sox. So before we get into those, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Sox almost every single day, normally with clips, but we're making do with what we got. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Not only does it help these videos out a ton, and it's the best way you can let me know that you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into talking about the other people who made this team. I mean, honestly, I think I would have had a mental breakdown had Jarren Duran not made the All-Star team this year. He has been one of the best players flat out in the entire sport, right? We talk about it all the time, but his WAR is amongst the top of the top when it comes to Major League Baseball players. Well, just a couple of hours ago, he got the official nod that he will be joining Rafael Devers in Arlington, Texas come this All-Star break, and I love breaking down Duran's statistics, so let's take a second and look at what he's done so far this year. It's a 278 average with a 339 on base percentage and a 478 slug, good for a 124 OPS plus. He's been about 24% better than the average hitter in Major League Baseball. On top of that, he also leads Major League Baseball in doubles. And if you take a look at where he ranks in general when it comes to what he's done at the plate this year, he's fourth in the entire AL in WAR at 4.7. That's amongst all players in the AL, not just outfielders. In position players, he's also fourth. Offensive WAR, he's fifth. Defensive WAR, he's fifth. He's played every single game this season. He's third in the AL in hits, fifth in the AL in total bases, second in the AL in doubles, fifth in the AL in stolen bases. He's sixth in run created, fourth in extra base hits. He's third in the AL in errors committed. He's third in the AL in assists from the outfield. I mean, everything this dude is doing right now is some of the best in the entire sport. It's absolutely unequivocally unimaginable to imagine a all-star game without Jarren Duran in it. He unbelievably deserves it. He honestly deserves to be getting some MVP recognition as well. He's been the all-star of the Red Sox this season. Now he can actually represent them down in Arlington. And again, we say this all the time, but I don't know how much more I can talk about Jarren Duran without saying anything I haven't already said. We have loved Jarren Duran this entire season. He's been a force with this Red Sox team, and I'm so unbelievably proud that he is in this All-Star game. I just want to take a second and bring you guys back 2 years ago. We were sitting here at the end of the 2022 season, not really knowing what to do with Jarren Duran. We actually made a full video talking about this, where we talked about there is so much potential here with Duran. We just never knew if he was going to be able to get there in the major leagues. Well, not only did he get there physically, he got there mentally as well, and that takes a ton of strength. It takes a ton of work, and he has absolutely earned every single recognition he's getting this season. So as a Red Sox fan, it feels almost like your brother's getting selected to the All-Star game. That's how important Duran's been to Red Sox fans, and I am so unbelievably happy to see him finally getting some national recognition. And the last person selected to the All-Star game for the Boston Red Sox was starting pitcher Tanner Houck. Again, another guy, like we talked about with Duran, where coming into this season, there were questions as to whether or not he could be a starting pitcher. Well, so far this season, not only has he been a solid starting pitcher for the Red Sox, he's been the ace of this goddamn staff. He has a 2.68 ERA, and if you don't include the Padres game, it's a whole lot lower than that. His FIP is exactly the same as his ERA at 2.68. His WHIP is at 1.045. He leads all of the American League in home runs allowed per 9 innings at 0.4. He's striking out 8.6 batters per 9 innings, walking just 1.9. All good for a 1.60 ERA plus, 60% better than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. And again, just to take a look and show you guys how he compares to other pitchers in the AL, ERA is 5th in the AL. WAR for pitchers, he's 9th in the AL. His WHIP is 10th. His walk rate is 9th. His complete game, the only complete game he's thrown, that's tied for first in the entire sport and the AL. He leads the American League in home runs per 9. His FIP is second in the entire sport. His situation wins saved, which essentially calculates, hey, once a runner gets on base, how is he able to help this team still win baseball games? Well, that's first in the AL. His fielding as a pitcher, yeah, that's first in the AL. His putouts as a pitcher, that's first in the AL. His adjusted ERA plus, the ERA plus statistic we talked about, that's 4th in the AL. Basically, again, you take a look at both Duran and Tanner Houck, and it's every single way you slice it. They are some of the best players, not only in the AL, but the entire sport in general. And again, they unequivocally absolutely deserve to be there. And it's really impressive to see what both of these guys have been able to do over the course of the last couple of years. They've transformed into superstars in Major League Baseball. And again, now they're getting that recognition for it, and it feels absolutely incredible as a fan who watches them day in and day out get the national recognition that they deserve. So those were the 3 players to make the All-Star game for the Boston Red Sox. However, there were 2 players that I think may have been snubbed a little bit that we should talk about. In my opinion, there were 2 players that may have been left off this list that maybe should have been added onto this list, and we'll talk about why they didn't get selected. The first one I want to talk about is Kenley Jansen. The reason I think he got snubbed a little bit for this year's All-Star game is because of who they chose over him, and that is Clay Holmes of the New York Yankees. Now, this isn't to say that Clay Holmes doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game, but when you compare them head-to-head, it's a pretty interesting conversation because Clay Holmes leads Kenley Jansen in games, innings pitched, saves, walks, and walk rate, and as well as strikeouts. But Kenley leads Clay Holmes in some pretty important categories here. One is his WAR. He has been, by WAR metrics, more valuable than Clay Holmes to this point in the season at 1.4 compared to Clay Holmes just 0.5. His win-loss record, which doesn't totally matter, especially for a closer. His ERA is much better than Clay Holmes. His ERA plus is a lot better than Clay Holmes. In fact, Kenley's been about 108% better than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball this year, and his strikeout rate is at 27.9%, which is about 4% higher than Clay Holmes. On top of that, Kenley's save percentage is actually higher than Clay's. Clay's has more total save because he's had more save opportunities, but Kenley's been more effective as a true closer in Major League Baseball. So I think there is an argument to be made here that Kenley deserved to be in this All-Star game over Clay Holmes, but maybe that's just recency bias because Masataka Yoshida absolutely owns that dude. The other person I wanted to talk about was Connor Wong. Now again, the person who was selected instead of Connor Wong was Salvador Perez, and I'm not arguing that Salvador Perez doesn't deserve to be an All-Star, but I do think it's an interesting comparison looking at what Salvador has done this season versus what Connor Wong has done this season. They're tied for Baseball Reference WAR at 1.7, and if you look, Salvador Perez leads Connor Wong in a couple of different big categories, home runs, RBIs, but Connor Wong has stolen more bases for what that matters. I mean, Connor Wong could have walked accidentally to second base and stolen more bases than Salvador Perez, but he leads him in batting average, on base percentage, OPS, and OPS plus. On top of that, he's obviously been a better defender this year than Salvador Perez. So I think there is a case to be made that Connor Wong absolutely deserved to at least get a nod for this year's All-Star game. Now, these 2 guys, there is a possibility that they end up actually making the team at some point. Guys either go down with injuries over the next couple of weeks, or guys can't make it, or something happens where they have to drop out of the All-Star ballot, and all of a sudden they're looking for reserves to come in and play. So there is still an opportunity for these players to make the MLB All-Star game, but to not be selected, in my opinion, especially comparing them, I do think there is a case to be made that both of these players got snubbed. However, this video isn't about trying to get angry about who didn't get selected. This video is about celebrating the Red Sox players that did get the recognition they deserve. I feel like fans are kind of vindicated here, right? We've been begging people to vote for Jarren Duran for the last month, and he finally made this team. Rafael Devers deserved to be here. Honestly, he probably deserved to be starting this game. I still think Jarren Duran should have deserved to be starting this game. I don't think Tanner Houck will end up starting this game for the AL, but he will get in there at some point. They all absolutely deserved it, and I'm proud that they were able to do this season, especially coming into a year where all these guys, this whole team, could have just laid down and died, and they didn't. They have fought back. They've been resilient. They've been incredibly easy to root for. They've been fun to watch. I can't wait for the second half of the season. Now I can't wait to watch our boys represent in the All-Star game, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? What do you think about who made the All-Star team? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's wrong? And what do you think about the players who didn't make the All-Star team? Is there anyone else that you think got snubbed that should have been in there? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox news in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Sox almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Just helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you all in the red seats.